Hi, this is Professor McLaughlin. This week we'll be covering, this is Legal Research and Writing Spring 2016. This week we're going to be covering Chapter 10 and 11. Chapter 10 is talks about Westlaw. We've done, I think, enough of that I don't think you need a lecture on it. So I'll lecture only on Chapter 11, which is Computer-Assisted Legal Research. The freely accessible internet. Many of you are already very experienced at searching the internet. You understand hyperlinks, you understand search boxes, many of you could add quite a bit to this lecture, and I will be seeking some input from things that best practices that you have for searching on the internet. So this lecture isn't to teach you about what you already know, but to narrow the search universe for you to only legal websites and government websites. So all the basic rules apply, and I would love to really get feedback from you guys this week to add to this lecture, to add to this chapter. What else, and maybe observe yourself searching. Maybe you haven't ever even tried to write down what your best practices for searching are. You just do it naturally. But we're going to take all that skill that you have, and for those of you who don't have a ton of experience searching, introduce you to some of it, but narrow the websites that you're looking at to government websites, law school websites, law school library websites, so good, legal blogs. Frequently, firms more and more are putting onto their websites discussions of recent cases, discussions of changes in the law, valuable information that's general, but a great starting point for searching an area of the law you're unfamiliar with, searching an area of the law that's going through some shifts or some changes where there have been recent decisions. And these blogs are local, regional, federal, really, really useful. So just understanding .gov is government, .edu is educational, a law school or a educational supported website. Commercial enterprises are .com, organizations are .org. And we did this with some of the, I think we did it with this class, some of the assignments earlier on, having you look at the last time a website has been updated. It's always important. This is important, and so important in the law, so important as you read for checking citations, making sure you have the most recent citation. The information must be current, and also understanding who's responsible for the site. Is it a law firm? Is it an insurance company? Can you trust it? Is the government? is it the government? If you trust the government, is it informational? Is it trying to sell you something? So being able to evaluate it and understanding for certain search engines, people pay to come up first, and then just double checking, looking at multiple sources, and understanding about websites like Wikipedia, which is a fabulous place to start, but never a place to stop or to depend upon for true research, true online research, and true legal research. You need to use that information to guide and direct your further research. So law firms do not use the cloud. Law firms do not trust the internet because of a duty of confidentiality, protecting work product that's privileged from opposing counsel. law firms use intranets or databases that the law firm supports through its own services. And those structures also allow discussions to go on within the firm that are protected, that don't breach a duty of confidentiality and won't be discovered. So legal research requires a comprehensive analysis of many things. It does help to understand civil law, criminal law, and administrative law, but I think it also helps to understand secondary law. Sorry, I wanted to see if they added that. Secondary law, journal articles, newspapers, as we said, blogs. Secondary law is so important to helping us understand what the law is. It's experts talking about the law. And then we always double check by going back and confirming what the court says and understanding the statutory law as well. So the next part of Chapter 11, so Chapter 11, when you do go through it, there's a lot of pictures in this chapter, and I think that's okay, helping you understand what's out there. Google Scholar is an excellent resource if you've never used it and that's on page 294 of your book. Looking at USA.gov, some of the government websites are not well written or designed, but the California websites usually are. So this chapter really just an overview of introducing you to the various available websites. I would encourage you to spend some time clicking through and taking a look at them. The American Bar Association, it's mentioned on page 302. They are okay. They don't go deep into the topic. So if you're still trying to find out general information, they're very good. Legal blog, SCOTUS blog is mentioned in your book. That's awesome. And then this chapter tries to give you an idea on structuring the legal research process or understanding the legal research process. And it's this is one way to conceive of it. Certainly you want to, somebody comes to you with a research problem. You may need to identify facts. You may need to identify issues. If it's a case that has come to you, or if it's a scenario and you're trying to find out how to defend the client, how to sue somebody else, then understanding all those things. But this is not a comprehensive description of the research process, because you could be given a research assignment that simply asks, bring me up to date in space law, or tell me what's happening now with Volkswagen emissions fraud, where they were able to find a way to have cars pass emissions tests when they weren't actually able to be driving on the road according to law. So I think this is a good starting point for research, to understand you need to identify facts, issues. Before you even do your research, you may have to ask for clarifications. You know from being my student that lawyers aren't always very clear. Certainly some lawyers are very organized, not all of them. And you may have to ask questions, subsequent questions to be given after you were given the research project. Tell me more facts. Am I missing any facts? And I want to encourage you to ask a lot of questions of your attorneys, ask a lot of questions of your supervising attorney, and if you have a supervising paralegal. Because if you're feeling stuck in your research, you may need more information. And there may have been some information assumed that you knew, or information that just in the rush of the day was not given to you. Moving on, then your analysis, relating the law to the issues, and then communicating your findings to the attorney or to anybody. That's a good way to describe the research process, I think. The research associate or the research paralegal must be able to see the big picture, um, get through the weeds. Much of research is sometimes spending a little time getting lost and then finding your way to the answer. Providing information to the attorney should be accurate and thorough. Noting any gaps, noting where, always feel free to say, could not find relevant websites in this area. Please provide advice or assistance for further research. And understanding paralegals and research assistants do not give legal advice. It's UPL or unauthorized practice of law. It's unethical and illegal, and you don't want to do it anyway. You don't want to be liable. Primary sources, constitutions, cases, statutes, administrative regs, and then secondary sources, which we've already talked about in this class, which is why this will be a brief lecture. But all the goodies, the encyclopedia, law journals, law reviews, periodicals, legal newspapers, the National Law Journal. Also, things like the Orange County Business Journal frequently has some legal articles. And then a legal thesaurus, which is awesome. A thesaurus is awesome anyway. I use them all the time. If you're stuck for a word and you're not sure what word to use, definitely use this thesaurus on your word processor. Super helpful, giving you ideas for new words, teaching you new words. I learn new words all the time. I think we've talked a bit about this in this class. You're going to find these resources in book form, in electronic forms, in CD-ROMs. You may have online databases or internet sites. Okay, I mean, well, I don't mean okay, like, well, hopefully you guys are already getting a handle on this concept that we have separate governments, the federal and the state level, and then legal publications will be separate as well. And I believe this is all kind of repetitive. We're following case law, looking at constitutional law. Okay, internet citations. I would like to begin to focus a little bit more on our Blue Book citating. So the rules that govern internet citations, let's see if we can find this. Oh no, let's do this one. This is a good one. So if you have, let me open a web browser and see if I can get it. Sorry, you're gonna suffer for a little bit looking at my desktop. Okay. Let me see if I can get this over here. So Rule 18. This is Blue Book. This is the 2011 version. Immediately I want to know what version we're at. So it's old, but that's fine. It hasn't changed a lot, but we'll have to double check with the most recent version of the Blue Book. So, citating to URLs. Oh, wait. Huh. Maybe this is the most recent version because the 19th edition is the most recent version. So 2011 must be it. Okay, so here's the rule. Authenticated documents. It's a electronic document, something you found on a website. Authenticated, it's a government website or that kind of thing. Here's an example of the logo. That's how you know it's authentic. Hopefully you can see that. and it's not cut off by the screen. So let's see, I wanted to see if we could get to the URL. Okay, so anyway, I don't really, the government's interesting. You're going to do it according to the Blue Book. I wish this were a little cleaner statement of the Blue Book, but this is where I wanted to get at. So for URLs, this is what the this is what the citation looks like. It's already highlighted. You can see it. So Rule 18.2.1 is for if you just want to cite to the website. It's not a PDF. This happens to be a article, a Chicago Tribune article that was accessed online. And what the citation is to the article itself. So it's the Blue Book says you have to have the author's name. In italices you put the title, and then you abbreviate, and the Blue Book tells you how to abbreviate Chicago Tribune, the date of the article, and this is the page number. And then because we accessed it, oh snap, sorry, because we accessed it at a website, you have to type available at, and then you just link to the website. So what I just described is it's this rule of the Blue Book. And for some of your jobs, and I don't know, you may be following Blue Book for publications or for documents submitted to the court. What I just showed you was called a pinpoint cite, and a pinpoint citation is where you actually talk about the page number. If I took this out, it would be this. I'm just citing to the article on the website. But a pinpoint citation is where you pinpoint the page that you found it at. Should we keep going? Let's go for a little bit more. We've got a couple more minutes. Let me see if we can do 18.23. Do we have any? Here's a good example of 18.22, which, okay, so this is not it is not a pinpoint cite. It is the version, the electronic version is the only version of this information. As you can see, it's not a newspaper. It's a conference report. Somebody put up a report at a conference that was relevant, and that was only available at the conference. You didn't get a hard copy of it, but you accessed it, and you need it to support some argument you're making in your paper or your submission to the court. And the rule requires that the citation have a title, what's the name of the conference, dates go in parentheses in most instances, but you have to look at the Blue Book, and then the website. And that is it. So that is computer-assisted legal research and the internet. Thank you.